Hey, so a couple weeks ago, I posted a full snake tour video. I was showing every snake in the green room, and I said in that video that even though behavior is more important to me than morph, I didn't have time to talk about behavior since I was showing like 45 snakes. Well, I heard from many of you. By the way, you can see that video right up here if you haven't seen it yet. I heard from a lot of people who saw it saying, hey, show us the behavior video. So that's what I'm doing. We're doing part one. I've taken 5 fan favorite snakes, and we're going to talk about their behavior and their tendencies, and probably more importantly, what I've done to work with them that maybe have helped to shape those behaviors. So nature versus nurture type stuff. I think this will be valuable to people who are just learning snake behavior and socialization techniques to see maybe what the results can be if you use some socialization stuff. Honestly, though, this is just going to be an educated guess as to why they are the way they are. I'll tell you why they are the way they are, and my guess isn't even educated, because it's fact. Oh, all right. Well, let's hear it, Kent. They're biding their time and lulling you into a false sense of security before going on their murderous rampage. I know, Kent, you've been saying that for years, and the murderous rampage hasn't happened yet. They're playing the long game. Well, they're at least making fun of you behind your back. I mean, I don't doubt that, so I'll give you that one. I want to thank Phenome Precision Genetics for sponsoring this video. More on them later, but at the very end of the video, we're going to get results from Phenome to find out if Bonte, my green tree python, is a boy or a girl. We're going to reveal it real time. I'm not going to know until I reveal it on camera. Honestly, I hate gender reveal videos, but we're going to do a gender reveal. No confetti or a cake, though. We're not doing fireworks. It's going to be a simple gender reveal. So again, we're calling this part one, and I'll just keep doing them as long as they seem like they're valuable to you. We probably won't ever get through all the snakes because that would be a ton of videos. But anyway, let's get to the first one. Here we go. Tiger Lily is the first fan favorite snake that I'm going to show. She, as many of you know, is from my first clutch of ball pythons that I ever hatched, and she basically crawled out of an egg and then right into my hand. As a baby, she was not fearful really at all. She crawled into my hand pretty much anytime she was at the front of her tub. I'd crack it open, let her tongue flick on me, and crawl out. She always did it. I think that's in her nature to do that. You know, she's never been defensive, but every time she crawled out onto my hand and had a non-threatening experience, that reaffirmed her confidence that she's okay in pretty much all situations. My guess is if I just kept her in a tub and never worked with her, she would become fearful of the occasional giant hand reaching into her cage to do something. So working with her and reaffirming positive behavior is definitely helpful. So nowadays, Tiger Lily spends about 50% of her time curled up in a hide, whether it's a whiskey box or her actual hide, and about 25% of the time just out of a hide, and the other 25% of the time free roaming. Now, free roaming also reaffirms her confidence because she gets to cruise around and remember that there's nothing dangerous in here, and she can approach things and tongue flick on them and kind of be where she wants to be. It creates a very confident snake, which is what Tiger Lily is. I don't remember a time that she seemed like she ever felt threatened. I don't think I've ever heard her hiss before. She just is really good-natured, and I think that is nature for her. I think she was born that way, and some ball pythons hatch out that way. But my gentle handling with her reaffirms her confidence and just has grown her up to be a snake that I have no problem handing to a 3-year-old. You know, she just is okay with anything. Right, Mama? Let's put you back. She's nesting. She's building follicles right now. She's in breeding season. So I'm going to put her back so she can go back in her hide and do what she wants to do. The next snake is one of the most requested snakes for me to bring out during my live streams. It's the one everybody wants to see. Do you have any guesses? Put your guesses in the comments below. And if you guess wrong, don't delete your comment, because that's probably who your favorite snake is, and I want to see that. But, you know, this is definitely not even the flashiest snake in the room. It's just a little brown snake. That's a hint. All right, let me get her. This is Pip, my pygmy python. Big-time fan favorite. Pip is, I think people like Pip because she is the smallest species of python in the world, and she's very cute. But, you know, for the smallest python in the world, you would think that they'd be afraid of everything because pretty much anything in Australia could eat them. I could see crows just landing and flipping over rocks and eating a pygmy python. Maybe. Do they have crows in Western Australia? I don't even know. But the point is, anything could eat these things. But she's not fearful of, like, I don't think she even understands how small she is. I would describe Pip as a shy snake who has no problem hanging out. So that means that during the day, she's always in a hide. Or not always in a hide. Her favorite spot is behind the big hide, squished between the wall, the back wall, and the hide. But she's also oftentimes in her little cave on the side of her cage, which is cool because she's not really hidden when she's in there. I can see her. But anyway, the point is that whatever spot she picks, she's there all the time. But as soon as the lights go out, she comes out and she's totally comfortable being fully out in the open. So she's not a snake that I see out all the time during the day, and so I'm going to pull out and handle. So I don't handle her very often. But when I do, she doesn't seem tense at all, ever. She just kind of gets to exploring. And I think she's just kind of fine with anything. And she seems to be interested in what's going on right here with me. You know, a lot of snakes, when you handle them, all of a sudden, they're trying to reach out to other things. It might be because she's so small, she can't reach anything else. That's probably part of it. But she does seem interested in what's going on right here with me, which is kind of cool. As confident as she is, she's not a crawl out on your hand snake. She's definitely a follow my hand snake. If her face is out of her hide, I'll put my finger down and pull it along the cage and she'll follow it. Once she figures out that it's me, though, she just backs up and goes back into her hide. She's also never really in the front of her cage for me to like offer my hand and have her come out onto my hand. So she's just not that kind of snake. And that's okay, because if I pick her up, she doesn't have a problem with it. You know, you're a nice lady, Pip. You're a nice lady. We're about to talk about a snake that I've had for a while, but I haven't had for years. That is Bonte, my green tree python. And like I said, we're going to find out at the end of the video whether Bonte is a boy or a girl. The shed is right now with Phenome, and we should have results back in a couple days. They just came out with a shed sexing test for green tree pythons. So let me tell you about Phenome really quick, and then we'll talk about Bonte's personality. Phenome Precision Genetics has just launched male-female shed testing for green tree pythons, which is very exciting for me because I have a pretty androgynous snake here. Phenome is a genetics company that does all types of reptile shed testing. They have morph testing and sex testing for ball pythons. They have sex testing for hognose snakes, blue-tongued skinks, and now green tree pythons. They're always working on new tests, and from what I understand, the newest one in the pipeline is monitor lizard sex testing, so look for that coming up in the future. This new test was just launched last week as of the making of this video, and it's the first single shed test of its kind for green tree pythons. So if you're a breeder, or you're planning to breed, or you're like me and maybe you'll breed in the future, it's important to know if you have a male or female. Also, make an informed buying decision when buying a neonate. Don't do that thing where you buy a trio and hope at least one of them is female. It's also important for pet keepers if you want to know if you're going to end up with a smaller male or maybe a more robust female, or maybe you just want to know if you gave your snake a gender-appropriate name. Bonte works for boys or girls. The thing I love about there being a shed test now is that I'm not trying to pop or probe a green tree python. This is a non-invasive, simple test. All you do is go to phenome.com, click the Order Test button, then click the Green Tree Python button, and fill out your information to order the test. The cost of the test is $89. Once you've done that, you collect a shed from your green tree python. Make sure it's been laid out to dry for about 24 hours. And you don't have to send them the whole shed. You can if you want, but just send them a piece. The piece I cut is about this size. And I'm going to drop it in a little baggie or envelope with my name, my snake's name and or ID number, and your order number. You'll send your shed directly to the Phenome Lab in New York, and you'll receive your results via email within 4 to 6 days of them receiving the shed. So this is going to Phenome today, and I'll receive my results next week. But since we're doing time travel in this video, we're actually going to see the results in a few minutes. Okay, let's get back to talking about Bonte's personality. I do think of Bonte as a boy, just because I say he all the time, but I kind of hope she's a girl. because, you know, I'm not planning on breeding green tree pythons, but if it's a girl, maybe I will in the future. I'm just going to say he for now to make it easy. So Bonte is an arboreal snake, and you know, I believe that arboreal snakes and lizards should probably be handled less than others. Not totally hands off though, necessarily. It's just that you're not going to grab them out of their cage all the time. I'm doing this thing right now where I'm kind of teasing him off the branch, if I can get him off without too much of a fight. And you know, that's a process. So it's not like just going into a ball python's cage and getting them out. You know, he's waking up right now and he's trying to figure out what's going on. I'm going to show him my hand a little bit. This is always kind of how he's been. I don't handle him very often. I bring him out maybe once a week, and most of the time that I bring him out, I keep him on his stick. I'm not trying to get him off the stick like this. And really, I don't want this to be a stressful thing for him, so if he's fighting me a bunch on it, I'm gonna just let him do what he wants to do, because I'm not trying to fight him. But he's never been defensive. That is his nature. And part of that comes from his locality. There we go. We got him off the stick. Hang on. So that nature comes from his locality. I think a lot of people think of green tree pythons as these real defensive, striky snakes. But that's not the case. Part of that comes from the Biak locality, because they are known to be more defensive and striky. They are, but they can still be worked with and tamed down. You could have a Biak that's super relaxed, but they're probably the most common to have as pets, because they're the ones you're going to find like in a pet store. And Bonte here is a cross between Sarong and Aru, and both of those localities are known to be more docile. So right now, you know, he's got a poop in him, for one thing. So we're going to hope that doesn't release right away. This is how I can tell he's got a poop in him. For those who don't know, you see how thick he is right here? He might unload while we're talking. Anyway, so, you know, he's a little bit awkward right now being handled. He doesn't quite know what to... Part of it might be that he's waking up. Part of it might be that he just doesn't get handled very much. So he doesn't quite know how to be on my hand. So the point is that when I do bring him out, I do it very slowly and gently and let him go where he wants to go. And even though he seems a little nervous about it, as he should be, he's just not handled very often like this, he's not defensive, which is cool. So that is his nature, and I'm trying to nurture that by handling him gently and making sure he has a positive experience when he comes out, or at least a neutral experience, something that's not negative, you know. I don't want you crawling on me, pal, because you're going to poop, and I'd rather you poop on the floor than me. One important thing to remember with green tree pythons is that they are like clockwork. When the lights go out, or even before the lights go out, if it's evening, they are hunting every night. Doesn't matter. They're on the hunt. So I don't ever put my hands in there at night when he's hunting. All right, let's put you back before you poop, buddy. All right? I'd rather you poop in your cage. Bear has had some interesting personality shifts, and we're going to talk about that as we scroll the horde of keepers over on Patreon. These are the folks that support the channel at patreon.com/greenroompythons. Check them out if you want to be part of that awesome community and get some perks. I also want to thank the channel sponsors, Lane Labs and the Royals Project. You've got a discount code right there for frozen rodents from Lane Labs, and you've got a discount phrase on awesome ball pythons from the Royals Project. So I've had Bear since he was a couple months old. And when he was a baby, his nature was to always crawl out onto my hand. He'd be in front of his little tub, and I'd open it, he'd come out onto my hand, explore around, no problem. Not much to do to socialize this snake. I just continued to work with him to reinforce that type of behavior. Then when he was probably about a year old, he was probably taking small rats, close to a year, he became super reclusive, not interested in me at all, wanted to hide all the time, and if I saw him out and showed him my hand, he'd go right back into the hide. Completely shifted his personality. That's not as a result of some bad experience that he had or some grudge that he had with me, some problem that was going on. It's just that sometimes snakes, as they develop, their personality will change and they'll go through phases, just like any animal or any human does. They go through phases. I get a lot of messages from people saying, hey, my snake used to do this and now it's doing this. What happened? What's wrong? You know, it's good. I think it's important that you notice those changes, because some changes could signal that there's something wrong, you know, that there's a health problem or something. But most of the time, it just signals that your snake is changing what they want to do, you know, and that's okay. These snakes live for a long time and they're going to go through different phases. So now at this point, Bear has evened out where he's kind of 50-50. He never minds if I take him out of his cage, but he's not necessarily looking for it, although he is a lot of times in the morning. So he spends a lot of mornings out with me around my neck while I'm checking out all the other snakes. He'll be in the front of his tub. I open it up, and about half the time he crawls out onto my hand. The other half, he usually wants to come out, but he's kind of going on his own, you know. So no problem handling this guy. He's never defensive, much less shy than he was before. He was like that for, I'd say he was like that for probably a little over a year, where he was real shy, and then he just kind of evened out. He's a real cool guy, though. I woke him up just now for this video, pulled him out of his hide, no problem. Also, another snake that I almost never hear hiss. My guess, though, is if I hadn't continued to work with him during those phases, he would have stayed a shy snake and been reluctant around people. But we just worked through that shyness kind of on his schedule. I didn't press him too much, and I handled him when he was okay with it, and he turned out great. Didn't you? You handsome guy. Look at his face. Look at that face. You went blurry. You got blurry. All right, here we go, pal. Back to your nap. I'm sorry I woke you up. Oh my goodness, you're all the way back there, huh? This might not be convenient for you, but I need you for a second. Oh my gosh. Okay. You gonna be on this basket? You're gonna be on the hook and on the basket? Okay. That's cool. Here's Handsome Dan. He's the mascot of Green Room Pythons, the official mascot. He is not a python. He's a boa. Handsome Dan is Central American locality, or I should say he's got Central American blood in him. And that means that he's going to be a little bit smaller. He's not going to grow huge. But also, can I have the hook back, pal? Thank you. But also, Central American boas seem to be a little more reactive than other snakes. And Handsome Dan is not defensive, but he definitely would prefer not to be handled. So when I pulled him off the top of the cage there, he grabbed this basket. I'm just going to let him have it. He can have it. He can be on the basket. But, you know, he's kind of looking for somewhere else to go. He doesn't really want to be handled. The only time I handle him usually... So here's what happens. And a lot of you know this because I've talked about it a few times before, especially in the live streams. When I wake up in the morning, he's almost always at the front of his cage waiting for me. Or if he's not waiting for me already, he sees that I'm up and he comes to the front of his cage. And I just open the door and walk away. And then it's up to him to come out and go where he wants to go. And where he almost always wants to go is up on top of these cages where he was, usually in a hide, or on top of the inspector's cage. I also have a hide that I made for him on the other side of the room that he can use. And if I need him to be in that hide, maybe because one of the retics is out on this side of the room, I'll put him in that hide. But the point is, no handling in the morning. I open that door. I show him my hand. We always do that. I let him tongue flick on my hand. So that's our one bit of sort of socialization bit. I get to do this a little bit. He tongue flicks on it, and then he goes off on his own. And then the only handling he gets is when I put him back in his cage at night, other than, obviously, if I'm doing a video. So his nature is to be a little more shy and not super interested in humans, but there's also a thing about his behavior and what he expects when he's out here that has to do with nurture. The way I've nurtured him is I've let him do what he wants to do. I haven't, I don't spend a ton of time holding him because he clearly doesn't want to be held, and that's okay. So I kind of let him do what he wants to do. And when I am holding him, he's looking for another place to go because it's not normal for me to just be holding him. He's like, hey, I kind of get to do what I want to do out here. Let me go do my thing. And that's okay. I like Handsome Dan being able to do his thing. He is, I would say, the most trustworthy snake in the room. Once Handsome Dan has found his spot for the day, he's not going to move. If I left him overnight, he won't move. He's there all the time. Never sneaks off. All right, shall we put you back up there, pal? You're sitting in Stella's basket that she's way too big for now. There you go, buddy. Thanks for hanging out. Hey, let's cut to the future now for that green tree python reveal. Hi there. We're the farthest in the future that we're going to be in this video, and I just got results back. And, you know, I don't like gender reveals, but I do have a blue and a pink pen. So once I find out what the sex is for Bonte, I'll toss whichever pen. How about that? We'll just see if it works. All right, here we go. Opening it up. Phenome, thanks for shopping with us. Green tree python test ID. Male female status complete. Result. Could you even see that? The female's still in my hand, which means he's a male. Bonte's a male, and that means that I've been psychic this whole time. I've been thinking of him as a male. I will charge $89 to psychically tell you whether your snake is male or female. Results aren't guaranteed, but so far I've been 100% accurate. I do think of Bonte as a boy. So you can pay me $89 to psychically tell you, or you can pay Phenome $89 to do a shed test. It's up to you, whichever one you trust. That's great. I love that he's a male. Thanks, Phenome. Okay, I hope the future was fun for all of us. Like I said, this is episode 1 of probably what's going to be a series. If you liked this video, I'll do more. So let me know in the comments if you want me to do more. Are there specific snakes that you'd like me to show off? And number 2, are there certain personality traits that I didn't touch on in this video that you'd like me to talk about? Because, you know, I do these videos for you guys, so I want to talk about the things that you want to hear about. Thanks again to Phenome for sponsoring this video. Thanks for watching. See you next week.